Life doesn't make any sense. There is no objective goal or meaning or an inherent design for an individual. We are born into the world without our consent, to say the least. Even our birth is a lucky outcome of fertilization, 1 in a million sperms successfully navigating its way. The time, or the era, or the epoch, as well as the class, race, religion, and the country we are born into, isn't really in our hands. Come to think of it, any rational or even irrational attempt to understand life, the universe, and our existence often leads to more questions and entanglements. That's why Greek philosopher Aristotle believes in the philosophy of wonder, rather knowing things absolutely. The events around our world and the era we live can be seen as what French-Algerian philosopher Albert Camus sees as absurd. He asks the question, what is the meaning of life? And supposes that the answer to this question can't be found in any human endeavor, be it philosophical, scientific, or religious one. He sees a paradox in human need to understand the meaning of existence and its inability to answer it. This often becomes a source of emptiness within us humans. This is an absurdity, giving rise to consequences which questions the basis of philosophy in itself. Camus, in his book-length essay, The Myth of Sisyphus, paints a picture about Sisyphus who is condemned to a life of absurdity, pushing a heavy rock up a hill, and after reaching the top, see it roll down. This can be seen as a metaphor for our human condition and existence. Like Sisyphus, we tend to ask questions about life and its meaning, only to see answers tumble down the hill over and over again. This often leads to an anti-philosophical stance, where life is absurd with no inherent meaning and design, where one might ask, what's the purpose of even living? And this Camus sees as the only philosophical question that needs our attention, that why should you or should you not choose life? This is the question of suicide. I do believe questioning our existence and its absurd nature is really important and can either lead us to being really despondent and hopeless and nihilistic, or make us really conscious about our faiths and be hopeful for our lives. I wonder if we humans are like Sisyphus, then what's the point of our actions? After all, we are going to meet an inevitable fate, death. Reconciling with our fates and accepting our efforts will eventually contribute to nothingness. We can simply choose to accept life is not worth living, or as Camus sees, Sisyphus, constant defiance of out. That can really come from knowing his fate. We are going down the hill to push the rock over and over again is an acceptance of the absurd, learning to live with this ambivalence and frustration that life often has and often offers us. We have to think Sisyphus is happy, where just the act of defying all the odds and strenuous efforts in the face of absurdity of life is enough to lift a man's heart. Our consciousness of our deaths, despite not knowing when it'll come, is accepting this absurdity. Happiness and absurdity, as Camus puts, are the same sons of the earth, inseparable, I see Camus' reasoning pivotal in coping with the burden of our existence. The not knowing of a future or the ignorance of what might to come. That really puts onus on us, humans, to make peace with absurdity of life. Conscious of our deaths and its despicable nature, and find happiness in our struggles. It is by imagining Sisyphus happy we see and we understand that our reality is often beyond our limited understanding. We are our own fates. We can live in misery of our fates or accept life's absurdity to find meaning in meaninglessness. This Camus' anti-philosophical stance, a skepticism to life's absurdity, rejecting all school of thoughts, I see an empowerment for us to live and die as an absurd man in the face of inherent meaninglessness and randomness and skewed nature of our own realities.